Hi there, friends. My videos have been a little serious lately, so I thought I would change gears and talk about my travel plans for 2026, or rather, I would try to get your help in making those plans. But first, I want to introduce you to my new travel vehicle. I started making a video a couple of months ago, but I never finished it, and I'm just going to cut back to that right now and let you meet the new vehicle, and then we're going to come back here and talk about some options for what I can do in the summer of 2026. Hey there. So I decided I've got a few days left this week before I start my new job, before I go back to work. So I thought I might take 2 or 3 days and go on a road trip. And I've been holding out on you. This time we'll be taking the new to me 2017 Prius V that I bought about a month ago. There's a reason I bought this particular car. I wanted a Toyota hybrid because Toyota hybrids have this climate control, and I can sleep all night with the car in ready mode, and the air conditioning will run off of the hybrid battery, and then when the battery gets low, the car will kick on and run for a couple of minutes to recharge the battery, then it'll go back off. That's what all Toyota hybrids will do that, and apparently you can run the AC all night on, $3 worth of gas. And the reason I got the Prius was because it's the smallest of the Toyota hybrids, therefore the most cost effective. And the reason I got the 2017 was because I wanted a Prius V, which is the largest Prius that they ever made. It's the station wagon one, and they stopped making them in 2017. I found this one in the state of North Carolina with only 70,000 miles on it, and this is the one that I wanted, so I went and got it. And this is going to be my new road trip vehicle. So this week I thought I would take a little trip to test it out and not go too far from home. I haven't quite yet decided whether I'm going to head to the mountains or to the beach, but I'm staying in the state, and I want to show you how I'm going to set it up, and then we're going to see how it goes. Let me show you how I have the Prius set up. All right, right here on the left, I have just my bag with clothes in it, some beach gear, my Jackery to run my refrigerator, which I'll show you, and that is plugged in back here. The 12-volt system also runs off the hybrid battery, just like the climate control system does. And on the passenger side back seat, I have the seat folded down. And then in front of that, I have my cooler, which is plugged into the Jackery, which is plugged into the car. And I have a pillow sitting on top of the cooler so that the head of the bed has somewhere to sit. This is a really firm pillow. All my pillows. Over there I have my camp fan that's plugged into, it's rechargeable. And I just have some random food and everything over there. Here's my WeatherTech. Here are my WeatherTech covers that I haven't fully put on yet, but I bought the WeatherTech set for this car instead of making my own because I plan on keeping it for a long time. And then I just have more food and my water up here. So this is just a really quick 2-day trip, so I just have a place to sleep and I have some food, and that's all I'm going to need. And I'm just going to kind of meander around the coastline. And I did have a nice little 2-day trip right before I went back to work in August, down the coast of North Carolina. Went to some little villages I had not been to before, took a couple of ferry rides, and I slept pretty well in the Prius. I do think I'm going to build up my bed and make it a little more cushy for the next trip because it was pretty thrown together. But there was plenty of room, and I saved a lot in gas, and the climate control was great. I ran it all night. So you met Vera. I switched places. I started out on the porch, and it is hot. Today is what? Today is the first day of fall, and it is hot outside already. So here in North Carolina, we've had our false fall, and now we're back to summer. I've got some options that I've been weighing in my mind. I lay in bed at night sometimes just thinking about what I want to do next summer already. Life has gotten really busy, You know, I'm working, I'm teaching now. That's a full-time position. I haven't told you yet. I've also picked up a part-time position to kind of fill in the blanks during holidays. And so I'll have a little something to do next summer when I'm not traveling. And my rental properties are, I've got a lot of vacancies, and so I'm working on filling those and getting some work done. I think I'm going to have to just make a whole video of everything that's going on in my life right now, between finances and work and 2 weddings in my family in the next few weeks, and what my plans are for just kind of riding out the rest of this year. But I do lay in bed at night and think about this trip that I took this past spring. If you weren't here with me back then, I'll place a link up here to the playlist. But I want to continue to do that. I want to do that again next summer. And I don't want to do the exact same route, of course. And now I have a smaller vehicle to work with. So I'm thinking about putting some rails on top of the car and a car top, luggage carry or cargo carrier, so that I can have more room to travel with next summer. Anyway, so here's my list. My first option is Colorado. There's a part of me that just wants to go back to Colorado and spend a month there. And all these options, I'm talking about taking another like a month out of my summer next year. My friend Jim over at Country Comes to Town, I'll link his channel down in the description. He's on a road trip right now, and he's visiting some of the places in Colorado that I went on my trip this past spring. And I've been watching his travels, and I just want to go back there. So Colorado is really, I love Colorado, and it's really great in the summer up in the higher elevations. So I'm thinking about going back there, just spending a month there. That's an option. Although I've been to Colorado, there are a few places in Colorado that I didn't make it to that I'd like to go back and see. And of course, I have Vera with the climate control, so I will have climate control. I'll be able to stay cool sleeping in the car. But even with that, I don't want to be anywhere where it's going to be super hot. Like, I'm not going down south. I'm not going to Florida. I'm not going to Texas. I'm not going to Arizona in the summer. I'm not going to go someplace hot just because I have air conditioning. Because if I want heat, I can stay home. It's going to be hot as hell in the summer. It always is. So I want to go somewhere a little cooler. My second option is, I've just got Canada here, but let me explain a little bit what I'm talking about here. So I live on the East Coast, and I've always wanted to visit Montreal. I'm thinking about driving up the East Coast to Nova Scotia. There's something about Nova Scotia that I want to visit. And then I'm thinking about traveling from there over to Montreal, and then from there over to Toronto, and then swinging back down through the Great Lakes, Upper Peninsula of Michigan to home in North Carolina. That's another option, which I think would be great in the summer. Option 3, and this one is kind of playing it safe. Here's the thing. The mountains of North Carolina and Virginia and West Virginia are within there's nothing I can't get to if I drive for 6 hours. I spent some time in the mountains this past year on my trip, or this year. Because I started in Maryland, I spent a lot of time going through Northern Virginia, and I spent several days in West Virginia. And then on the way back, I spent some days in West Virginia. And the summer before that, I spent a whole week driving up the Blue Ridge Parkway. So I'm thinking, playing it safe, what if I take several smaller trips? And as a physical challenge, what if I take several smaller mountain trips through the summer, and I hike each one? At each destination, I go on a big hike. I'm working on my health. I'm on this health journey, and that sounds like a really fun challenge. So that's kind of the playing it safe version, depending on what the world looks like in May. That's an option. If I just want to play it a little safer and stay closer to home, I can take smaller trips and still travel in Vera next summer. Option number 4, Pacific Northwest. And this is actually, when I started planning my trip earlier this year, my epic road trip, I originally had wanted to make it to Washington State. But I was very ambitious with all the points that I wanted to hit in a 5-week period, and I just wasn't able to make it that far. Plus, my van, Wanda my Honda, had started burning oil, and you know, she's got a lot of miles on her, and I decided around Utah and, you know, Colorado and that area that I wasn't going to go any further out west. I was going to circle back and start heading home. So I didn't make it to the Pacific Northwest, and to this day, I've been in Northern California because a couple years ago, I flew out to California to San Francisco. I rented a minivan. I took a week and drove all the way up to the northern point I went to was like the Founders Grove area to see the redwoods. I forget the name of the park. Forgive me. And then I started up on the Pacific Coast Highway up in that area and drove south on the Pacific Coast Highway and back to San Francisco. And then I went all the way down to Big Sur and drove back up to San Francisco. So I did my California trip, which included a good chunk of Northern California coast, but not interior. But my Pacific Northwest trip, if I were to do this next summer, my main goal would be to hit Washington State, Oregon, and Northern California, where I didn't hit last time. And that would be the mountains, the interior, and also the coastline. So that's an option for my trip. And that's high on the list because I haven't been out there. But it is also the farthest. I'm looking at my list. As far as driving goes, that would be the farthest that would be the most miles put on my car. Another area that I didn't make it to in this past May's trip was the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and the Great Lakes region. I had planned on starting that way, but it was still cold up there, and then I was going to swing back on the way back. But on the way back, I again had started having some concerns with my car, and I had started running out of time, so I did not make it to the Great Lakes, northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan, Upper Peninsula, that whole area. So I could actually take an entire month and spend it in the Great Lakes region. And that might include all 5 of the Great Lakes, and it might include a piece of Canada as well. But that is on the list. As far as domestic travel goes, the last thing on the list, and then I've got a couple of other options after that. But New England. I have been to New England 12 years ago. I drove my 2 youngest sons and the dog. We drove up to Maine. And we went camping, and we just visited the coast. We visited the New England coast all the way up to, we went as far north as Kennebunkport. We didn't go any farther than that. And we camped in southern Maine near Ogunquit, and we visited a friend in New Hampshire near Portsmouth and went to Rye Beach there. And so I've been to some of New England. But what I haven't done is made it all the way to Bar Harbor and also visited the inside non-coastal areas of New England. I have never been to Vermont because it's not on the coast. So this New England trip would be a month in New England, and it would be the coast and it would be the interior. And I would like to visit all the great areas in Vermont and New Hampshire, including the White Mountains and Maine, pretty much the entirety of Maine and the coast and the parks that are up there. Of course, also Boston. I'd like to visit Boston while I'm up there because I've only ever driven around it. And maybe Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, some of that. So there's a lot up there I'd like to see as well. That's an option. So another channel that I watch, Christine over at Nomad Unknown, is just now finishing up a month in Iceland. She did van life. She went to Iceland, and this would be a little more expensive. She went to Iceland and rented a camper van and drove around and did van life in Iceland for a month. Now in Iceland, you have to stay in campgrounds. You can't boondock anywhere. So you have to pay for all that, and you have to, and then of course the van rental. And then Iceland is apparently one of the most expensive countries in the world. But I would love to see Iceland, and to do it in a van or in a vehicle of some kind where I can just kind of go where I want to go would be a dream. So after seeing her trip, I've put that on my list as a possibility for me. I'm going to link her channel down in the description as well, so go check her out if you're interested in seeing that. It just looks amazing, an amazing trip. The last thing on my list does not involve a van or a car. It would be an international flight trip. But the other option I have is to do like a mini expat trip for a month in one of several countries where there's a lot of expats, American expats. So Portugal is high on the list. I could do that really budget friendly, flying out to Portugal and renting a place probably in Lisbon and just spending a month living like a local. Also, there are some places in Greece I would like to go to. I've been to Greece. I could always go back to Greece. Greece is a pretty inexpensive place to visit, honestly. And there's so many little small villages and places in Greece that I missed. And then there's South America or Central America, honestly. Costa Rica has always been really intriguing to me, or Ecuador. There's just so many places. I mean, even Thailand, there's a big expat community out in different villages in Thailand. So that would be my last option, would just be, don't do the van life trip or the car life trip, and take an international trip and go out there and just live like a local for a month somewhere. Those are what I have on the list so far, and I am open to suggestions. If you know of a trip that you think I would love and that I haven't thought of, put it down in the comments. Let me know. And for my regular viewers, I'm going to tell you, my life right now is really busy. I've just got a lot of things in the air. I've got 2 sons getting married. I've got 2 rental properties. One of them is on Airbnb, so I'm dealing with that turnover and also trying to get this other place rented. And working, trying to do my YouTube. It's just a lot. So this is the first gap I've ever had. I've been more than a week since I've posted a video. In the 11 months that I've been posting videos, this is the first time that I've actually had trouble keeping up with my posting schedule. But hang around. I'm still here, and I'm gonna do the best I can over the next 6 weeks until everybody gets married off, and hopefully I get my house rented and I can get back to my regular twice a week schedule. But as always, thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.